11 decks for OP11, from budget options to the very best and most expensive, and the deck that's just rolling everybody, which we all know what it is, especially if you're going into OP11. We're using the new starter decks as support for certain decks that may have gotten upgraded, as well as giving you a deck profile for every single one of the decks that actually had a starter deck come out. So I'm excited to show you 13 total decks today, and let me know your comments and what decks we're missing, because we're not going to be able to cover all of the decks because there's just so many decks out there, which you can get more deck profiles on the channel for OP11. We'll have more deck profiles very soon, but for now, here's a few deck lists you can copy and use on the sim or in person to win your locals. And deck profile number 1, and these are not in any order, do not take them in any order, and do not complain about the deck profile. These are all built off of other people's decks, my decks, and my opinion. So it's all opinionated, and this is not so opinionated. This is actually a very easy list to build, and it's probably one of the cheapest and most financially friendly decks to just play in general. Belo Betty. Obviously, you know this is just to hit you in the face. An aggro strategy between red and yellow used to trigger out bodies, which are very nice. Has some removal now with the Zeus. Obviously, Zeus KOing a 5 cost is amazing to help get through some pesky blockers later on. The Ivankov into Karasu strategy. Ivankov cheating out a 5,000 power lower character. Cheating out Karasu that gives their opponent's leader minus 1,000. Being busted. Or this Ivankov right here that I think a lot of people aren't really, aware of how strong this card really is. Looking at the top 3 and playing out any 5,000 power or lower Revolutionary Army type. I mean, you have so many targets in the deck being Karasu. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You only miss, I think it'd be easier to say on the cards you miss on at that point, because you have 6, 10, 14 cards you could possibly miss on. And you have a 1 in 3 chance. You only need 1. Now, if you can Ivankov into Karasu, you have one of the best starts in the game. You buff these Belo Bettys by 3,000 with your leader effect, just saying discard 1 card, give 3 of your Revolutionary Army or trigger type characters plus 3,000 power. So we can just buff up all these small bodies into 5Ks for just discarding a card. We're running the stage in these builds to look at the top 3 and kind of filter the hand for Revel Army cards to find our Ivankov or Karasu or, rush option. Now, one fun thing we're not playing actually is really interesting here. We're not playing Dragon. 8-9, give 2 Rested Dawn to one of your leaders or characters. So we're really going against the top end here with this Belo Betty strategy in the OP11 format. I'm excited to see more Belo Betty in the future. We're probably going to run into it a lot, so it's like one of the top decks thanks to Blue-Purple Luffy being so good. It's one of the best ways to actually get through Blue-Purple Luffy. That's going to be your major matchup, but you get destroyed by Black, you get destroyed by Lucci specifically, and a few other decks out there. So let's deep dive into a couple others, but Belo Betty going to be very strong and a great deck you can pick up for probably around like $40 to $50 in total, and that's kind of highballing. Like, now that you're cutting the dragon out of here, which is a $10 card, you can probably get this deck for 25, maybe 20 bucks. Another deck list we're going to touch on today is Lucci. Lucci is just in such a good place. This is not the perfect Lucci list, I'm sure, because we're still in the kind of switch over from EBO2 to OP11, but this is pretty close to what they were running in OP11. Of course, you're running 4 of the books for removal, but we're going more into Laboon since we lost Ice Age, and then the 10-drop Kuzan, with one of the most disgusting little trifecta combo pieces you'll ever see. Well, I guess you could say quadricepta, I don't know. So basically, we're going to go second every single game. This is going to be the perfect curve. Obviously on 4, we're going to play down Kuzan is the goal. We can then go into Brook on the next turn or move a body, whatever, yada yada. Okay, 8 Dawn, Jack. We're playing Jack every single time. We can put a Dawn on Brook and swing 5 and 5, KO a character, or lower it with these 2 by 2 and then KO it with Jack. Jack is going to be the strongest card here. And now on 10, we're just playing down 10-drop Kuzan. Give the whole board -5. We rest our Jack, KO an 8-cost character, or we swing in with leader and KO a 9-cost character. This also has the secondary effect to KO a 0-cost character. So what we can do is just minus it by 5. So this kills a 5-cost on play. And then with leader attack giving -1, and then Jack KOing a 3, that's 4. And then 5, so you add 5 to that, it can KO a 9-cost character, right? And that sounds really nice. But there's an issue, of having to keep this Jack safe or this Kuzan safe. We need blockers and a safety net and a little bit more options. Okay, now we put down Mancherie. Mancherie, you rest Mancherie, because you're KOing the board right here. You already KO'd the board, you did the Brook early, you have full control at this point, because you just KO'd 2 bodies on the board. You're in full control. So now you own the board, you Mancherie on your next turn, return a Rebecca to hand, play out Rebecca, to play out Brook or whatever you want, because I mean, now you can KO a 6-cost character with Brook alone, or you can return a Barto to play a Barto, or add a 2k counter back to hand with Rebecca. Then your opponent plays out a character with Rush, they swing into your Mancherie to remove it. Okay, well I block out, and then they go to kill it with your leader attack or whatever. That's what they have to kind of do. Like, this combo is crazy. If you can keep Mancherie on the board and clear it up every single turn, and they don't have a rush option, they can't clear Mancherie because she's getting blocked out if your leader attacks. The only way you can get through Mancherie is with rush. And then if you play something with rush, well, I still have Jack and Kuzan on the board. Okay, all I need to do is find another Mancherie with my 12 cards in hand, or just play out one of these guys instead to minus your characters, or draw cards, or filter through the deck, or play a Tempest Kick, or play a Kuzan to draw cards and get a body on the board, or just play another freaking Kuzan at this point. Like, this deck is broken. Black Lucci is actually in a stupid, dummy good spot, and I think if you're not playing this deck into the format, it's great into blue-purple, it's great into red-yellow, it's great into green-purple, it's great into purple Luffy. I think you just are in a bad spot. If you're not playing Lucci, I think Lucci is going to be one of the best decks in the format, and I think people aren't thinking about that enough. Blue, maybe, because you can red rock the Kuzan. Maybe blue Buggy, but blue Buggy only because 8-drop Croc. But even then, Lucci can KO as many times as it needs to, it feels like. Like, that doesn't even help. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is a hard one to say. I don't know what beats Buggy or Lucci other than blue, and blue is just if you find your bottom decking abilities. Other than that, I think this is probably the best deck in the format. Like, low-key, I think people are underestimating Lucci because of just how annoying the deck is. I'd at least say it's top 5. Probably not best deck. I think best deck is definitely hyperbole when you have blue-purple Luffy how it is. And blue-purple Luffy can definitely beat Lucci. Lucci just is a little slightly favored. But I will say, one of the best decks in the format. We go on to the next deck. Next deck being Marshall D. Teach. This is going to be one of our starter decks here that just stops all on-play abilities. Now, this is one that I actually got from another YouTuber stream, but I don't know who it was. So if you know them, comment it down below so people have a link to go check out the video. I don't like taking people's stuff and not being able to tag them, but I did lose the tag on this one. But I always like to make sure if I'm using other content creator stuff, I can always, mention it. I think it's a pretty basic list. I don't think it's anything special and probably not their own original, straight up original idea. I think it's pretty basic for the most part. We're running the new Teach that just KOs a 3-cost similar to Jack, but on KO adds 1 black card from your trash to your hand, meaning it can actually add itself, but it also gives you a way to add back your 10-drop Teach in case you don't find one on curb and you have one trashed by one of your This Is My Age, or for your leader effect, it's an option to actually get your Teach back. Now, most people just ignore this, or if they do remove it, you can just add it back and continue on that way, and this card's just really strong. Now, it does go to hand. Obviously, if it was playing it out, that would just be busted. But just to give you an option, this Teach is pretty strong. I don't know how much I personally favor it because a lot of the Teach matchups I see, they just don't even play this card on the board. But maybe that's because I haven't really seen Teach into aggro strategies, and maybe that's what this 7-drop really helps with. But again, you'll just have to let me know ideas like that down below because I don't play Teach and I don't care for Teach. But we are playing the new Kuzan blocker. This card is busted. Play up to 1 Blackbeard type character with a cost of 5 or less from your trash rested. I mean, that's just good. At the end of the day, that is just good, because if you use this on your opponent's final attack just to let it get KO'd, then you play out, a Burgess, which is going to be a 9k character probably by the point you block out. You just get a block out with a 6k, get out of an attack for free, and play out a 9k character. That is dummy, stupid, Braxton the Fourth. That is the craziest thing you could ever see. I think Kuzan is actually a really good part for this deck, and I think it really helps it a lot. You can play it on a 6-drop curve. It works a lot better than Liberation, because Liberation was just a trap card by itself, and I really like this. But I will say I don't really like this. Katarina Devon, I don't understand why people are running this card at all. I understand we just don't run many 2Ks in general because we're not too stressed about countering out. We're running just the Stronger as a 4-up, but why are we running Katarina Devon as the other 2K? I feel like there may be a better option, or even Caribou. Like, we could run Caribou instead of Vasco Shot, but maybe you run it for the Kuzan because you can play out the Vasco Shot. I'm a little confused on it, I'm not going to lie. This is a very interesting little tech choice. It just says you may trash this character if your leader is a Blackbeard Pirates. Give one of your opponent's characters -1. -1 is not that much. Now, maybe they do it for the Teach because the Teach is good, but I don't know. -1 isn't horrible. I don't love it though. It's just very low in cost minus. Maybe it helps just as a 2K most of the time. Again, I'm not fully getting it. I'd much rather just run more Laffites and more searchers, but again, you need 2Ks in the deck at the end of the day, so maybe that's what it's about. You just need more 2Ks, and it gives you some utility, sometimes, possibly, maybe. On KO, never going to happen. You're never going to have this card probably be KO'd unless you set it up early and they want to remove it. And if they do, you just draw a card, so I don't think it's that bad either. Next deck we're going to be messing with is Blue Buggy. Now, I did make a list on this recently, and I don't think my list was perfect, so I stole somebody else's. I think this was off One Piece top decks over here, and this is not my personal list. This is not my personal favorite list. I do think dropping, now that I've played the deck more, dropping the Croc down to 3 is good. I think dropping the Buggy to 3 is something we already had, but it's very good for the format. I think you have to play the Croc Mihawk as a 4 of, since we're playing 4 of the Kabaji, we're playing 4 of the Moji, and 4 of the Alvida. The only issue I have with this deck is the Cross Guild and Buggy. I think running 4 of Buggy is really difficult because you're only playing out Kabaji or Mihawk, and most of the time you don't have both in hand. Now it is nice to filter, but if you're doing this in the early game on curve, you more than likely don't have Mihawk, and you're trashing a lot of cards from hand. So for me, I don't personally care for Buggy, at least at this extent. I would rather go to a 1 or 2 of the Buggy card, and I don't think I run Cross Guild at all. It's nice to search, but the filter works just as well. Well, I don't know what we just got rid of. But yeah, I think this is good. It's not great. I'd much rather run Gravity Blade here. I was running Red Rock in my old list, but I understand how that was incorrect. I think I'd much rather do this and then look into Cross Guild in general and just see what other options we have. Dropping our Buggy down to 2 and then maybe going for some more options to actually play out. You could go with the Alvida that has an on KO effect. You could go with the Moji 2K counters to have more counter. I personally like the Daz Bones, but that may just be because I have it ulted out. So maybe I'm kind of stuck on it, and I don't even know what else is in my list. I know Gravity Blade, though, needs to be in the deck. I think if you're not running Gravity Blade in this format, because we do great into very top-end heavy decks because of our Red Rock ability with the 10-drop Buggy, I think just some of the issues are with the lower end of the spectrum. You know, going into those 6-cost characters we just barely can't touch. That's where this deck gets a lot of problems, I should say, going into those very aggro decks that play out 6-cost bodies. And it really helps into the mirror match especially. That's why I like the filter, to find these options, see what we need, and go from there. Now this is more what I would build it as, but just remember, this is what a generic list would look like where other people are running it as this list. I don't mind this list either. You'll have to let me know your thoughts on Buggy down below. Now we get into green, purple, Luffy, and this is a list without the starter decks. Uso Hachi, this is the wrong Uso Hachi. I want that to be known. There ain't no way we're running this and this. Why are we running this Uso Hachi? As an attacker, ×1 Dawn on attack if you have 8 or more Dawn on your field. Rest an opponent's character with a cost of 4 or less. That's interesting. We have options here, and I'm not going to lie, this is not updated with the starter decks here. So if we look at the new ST20 whatever, we could easily go into Beer Luffy as well to become a 7K leader. Now, it's probably not the best option for the deck. Going Dawn -2 while we already go Dawn -2 for our leader effect is not great unless we have a Sanji and Pudding setup to really, get rid of all that cost minus we're going down. Luffy Toro, though, is definitely great in the deck, just cheating out more bodies such as the Zoro Juro, or even the Sanji if we're low enough Dawn. It can also cheat out the Uso Hachi, which is probably why we're playing it, because that also will rest a 4 cost when we attack on the next turn. But the big one you want to cheat out is, of course, Sanji Pudding. It's very similar to the older style, the usual style of Monkey D. Luffy. The big thing to watch out for is Tony Chopper is not a Straw Hat Crew, and your leader effect says Dawn -2 if you only have Straw Hat Crew type characters. Set 2 of your Dawn as active, and this leader gets plus 1000 until the end of your opponent's turn. So if Tony Chopper stays on the board, you cannot activate your leader effect. Remember that. You cannot activate your leader effect if this card stays on the board. Very important to note. And another thing is that we're playing Gamma Knife as a 1-of rather than playing Electrical Luna, and we're playing Demonic Aura 9/Storo Ashura Demon 9 Flash. Now, this is a good card. You can rest a 5 cost, but other than that, it's just I. But that's going to be the deck altogether. That's green, purple Luffy. Pretty basic, pretty familiar. We know what it does. Just another purple Luffy deck. 4 of the Gum Giants. That's all you really need to know. After that, it's the same old thing. Now we're getting into Carrot here. I mean Bonney here. Holy cow, this is definitely not Carrot. Bonney, which just says ×1 Dawn when your opponent attack once per turn, rest up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters. So we can basically just really starve out the game, keep it a long game, and just continue on. We're running a lot of 2 and 3 ofs in this deck list in total. This is going to be my own personal build here because a lot of these don't have deck lists for the new ST24 cards. I'm a very big fan of this new X-Drake. I've used it. You use it on curve, you starve cards out of your opponent's hand, and that's kind of the goal with decks like Bonney. I mean, honestly, it's great into yellow-green law if you have a matchup you can't go aggro into and you need to control the board size. Like in a Buggy matchup, this is great in a deck like that. I think this card has a ton of utility in the format, and so I 100% recommend running X-Drake as a 2K counter. It's got a lot of versatility. It's better than the Scratchman Poo, which just rests a 2 cost. Now, this does cost only 1 Dawn. Putting a 5/5 on the board and resting a 5 cost is pretty damn good. And standing a Dawn up at the end of your turn so you still have your leader effect, that's extra damn good. We are running the usual 4 Cavendish, 2 Apus, 2 of the kids, or 3 of the kids. You can easily change all the top end to how you fit it, how you like it, but it's totally up to you. I just went 3-3-3 here, and of course 4 of the Hody Jones because this card is just so good in Bonney. 4 of the new Kid Killer to look at the top 5, and you can trash this card to set one of your Dawn as active when your opponent attacks to put your leader ability live, and that's really, really strong utility here for a searcher. We're also running the Capone Veggie. If you have 6 or more rested cards, draw 1, trash 1, because Bonney needs some filter, I'm not going to lie. You get stuck with a lot of this top end and bricks in your hand, which we don't have as many as usual, it feels like, because we're not running the Basil Hawkins. But we may need to, honestly, with the rise of Lucci, we may need to run Basil Hawkins again, but it may be a little too slow. The big thing we're running now is just 2 of the Smoker, which is good. It's nice to set a Dawn active, but Cavendish is just better. And yeah, we're running 4 of the 2K counter Basil Hawkins as well, which sets 1 Dawn active at the end of your turn. If it's on the board, it's solid. We're running what? 4, 8, 10 2K counters. And then we have 2 of the 0 cost event to make 12, quote unquote. We're also running 1 of the Zoro. I think Zoro just really finishes games at this point. I think it's really important to play this card. I think it's kind of underrated in the format. If you can get it to stick on the board, it kind of either do or you don't. It forces your opponent to have the out. A lot of blue-purple Luffys are running 1 red rock, maybe 2. So if you see them pop a red rock on like your 10-drop Dofi or Eustace Kid, you put this on the board, it's usually gonna stick. The biggest thing is just playing it properly and paying attention to what your opponent has used or what they've grabbed with their leader effects. Really playing into a deck like that, I think 9-drop Rora Zoro is very strong. Here is that carrot list we were just talking about. It's very similar to Bonney, except with a Minx package, where you're kind of freezing down characters. You're playing the 8-drop kid. That's going to be your big savior in this deck. We're running 4 of the Rosinante and 2 of this carrot promo that we got from the Treasure Cups. This card being, just good because it gives you another Minx target to search for your leader effect to rest a 5 cost. Gives you more options on the board. The big thing that I personally added was the Lord of the Coast, freezing down one of your opponent's characters that does not become active until their next refresh phase, because we can tap down 2 Dawn for this basically. If we have Milky, oh, we don't even have Milky in this list. We're supposed to have Milky in this list. Hold up, drop that. We need to go back to green and put our Milky in here. That sounds a little suspect, but you know what I'm talking about. Milky is supposed to be in here, for sure, for sure. I think we could even drop down maybe one of the carrots. Anyways, if you have Milky, it restands a Dawn as active. At the end of your turn, you can swap these for 4 and 3, however you like. So you get to restand a Dawn with Milky, you get to restand a Dawn with Zoe. So just in those 2 cards alone, that makes Lord of the Coast into a 2-cost 5K that also freezes down one of your opponent's characters, and it does not become active in the next turn. Like any character on the board. So if they're playing big body to big body to big body, this can help us prolong the game. Carrot helps us in the early game, but this is freezing down the big bodies. It's cheaper than the Bonney. So for us, this only costs 2 Dawn, where we can still go Hody Jones. We can still play an 8-cost kid. We still have options with using Lord of the Coast, getting our 2 Dawn back and going from there. I like this card a lot. On a 6 Dawn turn, you can technically play 2 of them. I know that's very random, because you can play this out for 4, restand it on. Well, no, because you couldn't have Zoe at that point. Could you? Milky on 2, Zoe on 3, then you hit 6, you double Lord of the Coast. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. I think there's better options in the future, but it's something I want to personally test. This is not a high-end, very skilled deck. It's one of those, you just bring the game as long as you can until the end of time and hope you win and have a lot of cards in hand and defend this big guy. That's literally the goal of the deck. That's why you need Rosinante. That's why you need Tashigi. Other than that, it's just a usual Minx build. We are running the new 10-drop Law and Beppo. Rest one of your opponent's characters. That card does not become active in your opponent's next refresh phase. Then, if your opponent has 2 or more rested cards, your leader gains plus 2,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So we get to become a 7K carrot. I actually really like this. This could be something we could use in the engine rather than the kid. just because we become such a strong leader. So maybe there's a way to change this out to a lower number, because this is actually searchable. We go more into the minks, you know, maybe playing Ino or Rashi, which freezes 2 5-cost characters, or we go into that 5-cost Bonney that can freeze at Dawn, helping us against very, very top-end decks while we can still, you know, continue to drop our own top end or freeze down their top end. There's options for sure. So, I don't know, just throwing this out here. I like this card in Carrot. I don't like it in Bonney, but I think it is a good card. That's why we actually made this deck list, was just to show off that we're running the Law and Beppo, because it's mink searchable and puts our resting 5-cost or lowers active in case we don't have any other minks on the board, which we should, but in case. Now here is my green yellow Law build. You guys know I love this freaking deck in the format. I love this deck just in general. It's so much fun to play, but there's a bunch of 1s, 2s, and 3s. There's a good amount of 4s, especially in the yellow. As you can see, this is where all of our 4s are. Other than that, I think green yellow Law is very strong. It just says times when Dawn activate main once per turn. If the total number of your character's cost is 5 or more, you may return one of your characters to the hand, reveal the top card of your life. If that card is a supernova type character with a cost of 5 or less, you may play it. So the goal is to go second with this deck and play the new Kid Killer. So basically that adds 2 costs to the board, and now we play Bonney. That's going to be our big goal. So now we have 5 costs on the board. This Bonney says you may add 1 life from the top or bottom of your life card to your hand. Add 1 supernova with a 5 cost to the top of your life face up. So now we get to play out Cavendish, right, off of our life by putting that 4th Dawn from this turn onto our leader, bouncing back our Searcher right here, the Kid Killer. We get to bounce that back to play out Cavendish, which restands 2 Dawn. So now we have 2 Dawn as active, 1 Dawn on our leader. We swing in 6 at our opponent. We have a Cavendish and a Bonney on the board. And then we get to rest the 2 Dawn for a Kid Killer. We get to rest the 2 Dawn for a Beige, which is amazing, which just came out in OP11. It basically just says if one of your supernovas is KO'd, you just add it to the top of your life. This card is so freaking busted. I played a game against a purple, what's it called? A purple Kaido. And he played the Kaido that KOs the whole board. And I had Cavendish, Beige, 7-drop, and a Bonney, or like something crazy like that. And I just gained 4 life. Like, well, the Beige goes KO. Everything else just goes into life. And I was like, this is busted. I also play the X-Drake. I think the X-Drake's really good into like Blue Buggy. Or, I mean, even into freaking blue-purple Luffy, just resting down the Zoro and swinging into it. You're already either getting cards out of hand or you're getting rid of their ramp. This card is actually really good for that matchup. So if you can't do the Cavendish, you can do X-Drake, you know, play that out, rest the Zoro, swing 6 or swing 8, whatever you really want, because you don't have to play the Kid Killer or the Beige. Depends on what you have in hand and what we're feeling. So this deck has so many play lines. It's a very high skill ceiling, and I think somebody can take it to the top. I think you should take an idea from this deck list. I don't think this is perfect. A lot of the deck lists are like actually just cutting Hody Jones, but me personally, I kind of like this card. I also really like Kid in the deck, though. I think it's kind of underrated for the amount of people who don't play Kid. I don't know. I'm tossed between the two. This card just busted. You need to run 4 of the 7-drop. But these two, I think, are kind of interchangeable. 3, 1, 3, 0, 1, or 4. Like, you can switch things around for sure. You could even drop Hody altogether and maybe put some more supernova kind of searchable targets or better options, more searchers, whatever you can find. You can switch this deck around a lot and play it to your own desire. We have one more green-yellow deck, and this one was actually from the Eggman event. He did like a 128-player tournament or something like that, and somebody went Supernova Yamato, and so that's why I'm kind of showing off this list specifically. It's not really based around the starter deck, to be honest with you. It's more based around the new OP11 base, the Zeus, Yamato, X-Drake. I mean, this is a very interesting list because it's based around, you know, even Bonney, giving the free Dawn from the leader. So you can play out Bonney, give it 2 free Dawn, and then swing in, try to take their life and draw 2 trash 1. It's really good there. You have the 6/8 Cavendish just to have a big body that's searchable. We're running 4 of the Zeus, 2 of the 0-cost event, 3 of the Flame Split, which gives your leader plus 1,000 for the turn. And then you may rest one of your opponent's 4 costs if you have 2 or less life. 8-drop Kid to burn a life. It's an interesting list. This is probably not the best list. We will have a green-yellow Yamato list coming out very soon, but it's one that I wanted to show off. It's not these perfect new starter deck lists that you're probably all hoping for, but in case you want to look at the new starter deck, we really can do that real quick. It was ST28. So the big card to come out of this is actually the Momonosuke. If you're going for a more Land of Wano build, you basically just play a bunch of triggers. You play Ashura Doji because it just KOs a 5-cost character, and you can give it the 2 rested Dawn from your leader effect to make it into a 5k, a 3/5, which is very nice. You play the new Banish, you play even probably double Banish, you play the Onami as well. Kinemon for a trigger out of life, I mean, that's amazing. This card with Rush and gives your leader plus 1,000 on your turn. very nice. And the Yamato is a searcher, you give 2 rested or 2 Dawn, it becomes a 5k. Like, this deck is low-key busted with the new Land of Wano stuff. I was just showing off this package because I thought it was cool. Kind of cool to play around a searchable, more Straw Hat, Supernova, whatever build. I enjoy this. I would want to see how someone could do with a more Supernova build. I know some people have talked about it in the comments in my videos. I don't know. On to the next list, though. The next list, starting our purple off, and this is the purple Luffy deck that I saw more recently, and it's kind of weird because we're back to the poly, which we did not touch poly in a very long time. Just saying rest 2 Dawn, add 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck, set it as active. Then if you have 8 or more Dawn in play, KO one of your opponent's 4-cost characters. I don't know if this is any good. I don't know why we're KOing 4-cost characters. I don't know why we're playing poly. Maybe it's for the Belo Betty matchup specifically, but even then I feel like this card's just a little too slow for even that matchup. We're running the Mist Double Finger to ramp out a Dawn. You know, go Dawn -1, play this card, just get another body on the board. I think it helps with those aggro matchups. I think into blue purple Luffy, I have no idea how we do. We are playing, of course, the new 8-drop category, a rested or a blocker that can restand 2 of your blockers and give you a rested Dawn back is going to be amazing. Ragnarok here, which is KO's an 8-cost character, also very good because it helps us remove the category and just get it out of our way. We're running Nora Beam Sword, which can just give one of our leaders or characters plus 2,000, then rest one of your opponent's characters, which is also really good. The weird thing for me is we're just running 1 of the Lin and we're going very aggro. So 1 Lin, 4 of the Rush Sanji, and 4 of the Rush Luffy. That's kind of insane to me. Very, very aggro deck list here with purple Luffy, and I can see where it fits into the format because of it. To go into purple black Luffy, this is the one that actually just got the starter deck that says, win 2 of your Dawn or return to your Dawn deck, set 1 of your Dawn as active, and set 1 Dawn as rested from your Dawn deck. So we get to ramp out pretty aggressively here. The big card, obviously, to do that is Zoro, but now we have the Nico Robin, which basically just does the same thing. Dawn -2, add 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as active. So this ramps 1 Dawn, and our leader ramps 2. So us going -2, we actually go +1 by the end of it. And, of course, the Nico Robin, so it looks really good. And it's a 2k counter. A 3/4 2k, it's just better than the Zoro. Like, straight up. This has so much more utility. This card's very good. And you 100% play this card. Do not do anything other than play this card. We're also running 4 of the new beer Luffy. Although Luffy does not drink beer, I just hear people call it beer Luffy. Although, if you actually know the anime, this man has never had beer. I think he got milk when the last time he was into an actual, I think he always just gets milk or juice or something like that. I don't know. We know he's getting meat, though. Well, that sounds... Pause. Hold up. It just says, when attacking Dawn -2, if your leader is multicolored and your opponent has 5 or more Dawn, which is really important to remember that your opponent must have 5 Dawn. So if you're ramping into 6, your opponent's probably on 4, you cannot use this effect right away. Anyways, your leader's base power becomes 7,000 until the end of your opponent's next turn. Becoming a 7,000 power leader is really, really good, and you can use other purple cards. You know, there's other purple ones that, like the Eustace Captain Kid, you can actually use the 7-drop Kid up to one of your leaders gains plus 1,000. So there's a weird interaction here. You have to go Monkey D. Luffy first to become a 7k leader, right? Because if I use Eustace Captain Kid first, I get plus 1,000, I become a 6k leader. Now if I used Beer Luffy, I become a 7k leader. But if I use Beer Luffy first, I become a 7k leader, and then I use Eustace Captain Kid and I become plus 1,000 to become an 8,000. So it's a weird little interaction there. You need to know if you ever want to do something like that, but you can become a very, very strong leader here with some of these options. Now, just becoming a 7k by itself is already amazing, and I 100% recommend running this card as a 4 of. And you also have the new Secret Luffy that has Rush and then attacks twice. When you return those 2 Dawn, you get 1 back as active, 1 back as rested. That's pretty damn good. Running the 8-drop category, and that's basically it from the new stuff. Everything else is the usual. 2 of the Onamis, Black Marina, Sanji. The usual stuff you see in Purple Luffy, Purple Black Luffy, and 4 of the Gum Gum Giants. If you guys are hearing all this background noise, I'm sorry. They are literally mowing outside of my house, but I gotta get this video out for you guys as soon as possible with the best freaking deck list out there. Make sure to like and subscribe, because we're powering through that loud, obnoxious background noise. And here we get into Red Shanks. This is my personal build for Red Shanks. I don't think it's fully complete. I understand why people aren't running the new 9-drop Shanks here, but having -3 costs to make your leader a 7,000 is very strong to the format, especially Blue-Purple Luffy. This is a heavily control-based match. I mean, deck list in total. I'm almost tempted to drop, maybe this down to 2 and run 3 of the 10-drop KO Shanks, just to continue to remove our opponent's board, and then we power up towards the end of the game, becoming a 7k leader as we have big bodies, and then we have a lot of counter built up. I think that's just how I play Red Shanks personally. I love the control build, and I think it works kind of the best. We are running 4 of the Uta. This is not necessary. You can play Lime Juice instead, but me personally, I like this more than Lime Juice. Lime Juice is just okay. The most of the time, I mean, if we look at Lime Juice, what does he even do? Juice. Your opponent cannot activate blockers with characters with 4,000 power or less. I mean, we have to use the stage for a 6k blocker, which is going to be the Nami right now. You have to use the stage, you have to use Lime Juice and an Otama, or just an Otama, or you already have to have a Building Snake set up. Like, for me, Lime Juice is just alright. Maybe you go 2 Lime Juice, 2 Uta. That may possibly be better, but again, your builds are always up to your own discretion. This is a control-based deck list where you're trying to control the board, you know, stay alive for a long time. You have the Marco in here to KO a 3,000 power character. You mix that with the Otama, you can KO a 5,000 on 6 Dawn. We have Yasop to become a 6k leader, and I think people don't understand that having extra power is control. I think people don't really realize that, because you are now controlling how strong you are, which controls how your opponent's board develops. Now they have to either choose between putting extra Dawn on their leaders and characters to swing you, or they have to continue controlling the board and building their own board. And so that gives you a lot more control and tempo specifically. So I think people don't realize how strong that is. And I think this being a 6 cost 10k is very, very strong, and people are really underestimating this card. After Shanks, we just get into Red Zoro. I don't even know why we're covering this deck at this point. You know it's got 4 choppers, 4 choppers, 4 choppers, 4 choppers, 4 Hiking Bear, 4 Robson, 4 Dr. Greyhawk, and 4 of the Shut Up and Come With Us, 4 of the Nami Searcher, 4 of the Makino, and that's the basics. Now, 3 Brooks is interesting. Giving 2 Rested Dawn to one of your characters is pretty solid. I understand why we play it. It's just a solid card from STO1 that's been around for a very long time, and it's a great 2k. Kid Killer being a 7k rush option is great. And then Monkey D Dragon, giving 2 Rested Dawn one of your leaders, you just give it to the leader. This becomes a 10k. This is still swinging in for 7. So we swing in with 9 with leader on a 10 Dawn turn, because we put 2 rested and then 2 active on it. We go 9, 10, and just kind of go for lethal. It's an option for sure. For me, I mean, it's just alright, honestly. This deck altogether, though, is obviously amazing, having so many rush options with Robson even. You have Kid Killer, you have the Dragon, and then you have this new BO2, which is okay, but you have this chopper, times 2 Dawn, the character gains plus 2,000 power on your opponent's turn, and then if your leader has a Straw Hat Crew, give one of your leaders or characters 1 Rested Dawn. So this is cheated out with the 3 cost cheat out chopper. We get a free Dawn to our leader, so on a 3 Dawn turn, we can go chopper into chopper, get the Rested Dawn on our leader, and buff up our board or just swing in for 6, which the name of the game is just to swing in very aggressively. This is just a basic list at this point, but I would say copy and paste this. Anybody can run it. This is the best starter deck just because it's so easy. This or Belo Betty. And this deck does very good into blue-purple Luffy, which obviously we're going to be covering in just a couple moments. This deck just being aggro, that is blue-purple Luffy's worst nightmare. Basically just hitting him a bunch of time for 6 is the name of the game against blue-purple. We're going to start with blue-purple Nami, or blue-yellow Nami, and then we're going to go into blue-purple Luffy. This is my personal build right now that I'm working on for Nami. I think it has a lot of directions to go. In my personal build, I'm running Slave Arrow, return one of your 2 costs to the hand, give one of your leaders or characters plus 4,000. I've kind of been stuck on this card, and I don't know why. I just think it's really strong with the build we have. 4 Nojikos to bounce a 5 cost, 4 Hioris to change our life around and then gain a life. We have the Kiki Nojo in here, which we can put in with the Hiyori to then trigger out another body, which really helps into blue-purple. Running 4 of the pudding, because that really helps into blue-purple. Now we can obviously drop this down by 2, because we can go more control-based and not really worry about pudding. When we have pudding, we need pudding kind of moments. We could go for that, but for right now, we are running 4. And just keep that in mind. You can easily change this around to run other options. 4 of the new Nami, which is a draw 3, place 2 cards on the top or bottom. 2 of the new Rush Luffy, because I think Rush is very important, and bouncing a 4 cost is not bad. It'll help into some aggro decks and have some control on the board, bouncing back blockers that may not be able to be KO'd, forcing them into your opponent's hand, and then giving you the Rested Dawn you need. Bring 3 of the Shirahoshi and 1 of the Law. You could easily go 4 Shirahoshi, no Laws, or vice versa. You could go 4 Laws, no Shirahoshi. I like Shirahoshi a little more, but I wanted to show you both options, so I did 3 and 1, or 2 and 2 is what I should have done, but it's just for show. You can go either way. Some people like 1 cost blockers. In a deck like this, I'm fine running 2 cost blockers because we don't run anything bigger than an 8. If we're on an 8 Dawn turn, we can still use just Captain Kid and Shirahoshi, but you won't have a Dawn for your leader effect, so maybe you do want that additional Dawn for Law. I also see a lot of people use the blue Marshall D. Teach we're about to talk about. It's good for sure. I don't personally care for it, but you can definitely experiment at your own will. Just place one card from your hand at the top of your deck, give 2 rested Dawn to your leaders or characters to always ensure that we have the 2 Dawn. A lot of people say it's really strong to have. I think it's just alright. Me personally, it's not my go-to, but it's really up to your own choice. I also put one of the Red Rocks in for removal. It's okay. I like Zeus so much more. I'm okay taking a life, to be honest with you, especially in a deck like this. I think it depends on how you play, though. For me, I don't care about Red Hawk. Not my go-to. I take life too aggressively, and I play pretty aggressive. So for me, I'm probably dropping this for sure. I just want to show you guys more options for the deck. Red Rock, amazing into Blue-Purple Luffy. Raging Tiger, amazing into every other deck out there. So this card's just great. You can run both of these and count it as counter because you have the time 1 Dawn on your opponent's attack. Once per turn, trash 1 card. Your leader gets plus 2,000 for this turn. So we just trash one of these in whichever matchup we're in. So if we're getting blue-purple, we hold this, we drop this. If we're in the other matchups, we drop this and hold this. I mean, it's pretty simple. We draw a lot from our leader effect that also says when your opponent takes a life or you take a life, draw 1 card if you have 7 or less cards in your hand. We also have the Nami to draw cards, and we have some pretty aggressive options to take our opponent's life and continue the game on. So I like this deck a lot. I think it's a lot of fun, and I want to know your kind of builds with it and what kind of develops in our format without the new 7-cost Odin that a lot of people got mad at me that I put in the deck profile most recently. This one right here that comes out in like September or August as a starter deck that basically just has anti-removal effects that we really need for our leader. To finish off with the big boss, this is going to be Monkey D. Luffy. Now, this is the deck that everyone's talking about. Blue-Purple Luffy. It's a 6,000 power leader that says if you, at the start of your turn you have 8 or more Dawn, so that's before you draw, before you gain Dawn, before you do any of that, look at the top 5, add 1 Straw Hat Crew type character to your hand, and then stack those other 4 cards on the top or bottom in any order. So for you, you are just going to utilize the 9-cost Sanji more than anything into the 9-cost Linlin. So you can, counter out of life, take life, whatever you want to do. The goal is just to ramp to 8 as soon as possible. And to do that, we have the Bonclay Bentham, we have God Thread, which KOs a 5-cost and ramps a Dawn as active. We have Gear 2, which rests 2 Dawn, rest 1 Dawn, add 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as rested. Very simple stuff, just some easy ramp options. Zoro, which says if you have 3 or less life, add 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as active. Great early game just to really ramp up aggressively, and our late game really just consists of 9-drop Sanji into 8-drop category, 9-drop Luffy, or 9-drop Linlin. Our goal is just to cheat out as many bodies as possible, or when we need to, play out blockers like the Nami or like the Sanji, just to make sure we don't lose the game, or remove our opponent's characters with Gravity Blade or Red Rock. Now these are interchangeable as 4 and 0, or 2 and 2, or 3 and 1, however you want to, but I definitely think you need to have some of this removal. I think 2 and 2 is good and consistent, but it's really up to you and what you're playing against. I personally like Gravity Blade, but I'm just stuck on Gravity Blade with so many Belo Bettys, so many Luccis, so many issues. I don't know. Red Rock's great, a Lucci to get rid of Kuzan, and the Jack, you kind of need it for that matchup. And then the Gravity Blade just being great for every aggro strategy out there. Or the Mirror Match for the Red Rock. Like, you see how I keep going back and forth? I think 2 and 2, 3 and 3, 4 and 4, you can't go wrong. We are running the God Thread, though, for the 5-cost characters, so this is always an option as well. We have the Nami to draw 3, place 2 on the top or bottom, and then we can stack up with our leader effect for the next turn if we're going into 8. So we can do this on an 8 Dawn turn where we play out Nami, we stack the life up, whatever. We can also play out Zoro that turn. We could Bonclay and then Nami, and then draw 3, trash 2, or place 2 on the top or bottom, I should say. We're running a great amount of 2K counters. We have, 10 total, plus the Gear 2s and the Gum Gum Giants being just so strong. Running 1 of the Charlotte Pudding to just destroy our opponent's hand. You can easily go to 2 of the Puddings and 2 of the God Threads. That's probably the option I would personally choose. I don't think we need that much 5-cost removal, but maybe we do into the aggro matchups. But that's really up to your own build. Again, these builds are always interchangeable. This is just how I like the deck. I think this is pretty strong and pretty consistent here. Again, 4 of the Sanji. A lot of people play 3 of the Sanji, but I see those same people not able to find it. So for me, I love 4 of this card. Just being able to cheat out another character is always going to be good. I mean, on 9 cost on 9 Dawn, before I even get the leader effect, just to cheat out a second body. If I miss, oh no, I put a 9/9 on the board. If I hit, though, I'm putting out, Sanji, Zoro, I don't care. I'll give you a Pudding just to have another body on the board and then just ruin your day with a Pudding. I mean, there's options for sure. I think 9-cost Sanji is amazing, and I just think this leader is busted. Drawing 2 cards, because you still have your draw phase after you stack those 4 cards. So the big thing with this leader is you get 5 cards shown to you. So we add, let's say, Uso Hachi to our hand, and these are our next 4 cards. So we draw into the pudding. Wait, no, we draw into the Sanji. We put the pudding as the last card. We put the Nami as the first card and the Bon Clay in the middle. So now we have Nami. So we 9 cost into the Nami because we just drew the Sanji. Now we 9 cost into the Nami and we drew an Usohachi. So now we get to draw these 3 cards, meaning we get to draw the Bentham, the pudding, and 1 own card here, and then place 2 on the top or bottom, and we can probably just bottom deck those ones at that point, because we won't need those. We can just keep the Gum Gum Giant, bottom deck the Bentham, and the pudding. There is such an amazing curve with this deck. There's such an amazing just strategy. The later you go into the game, the more likely you are to win, and this is a deck that I will never be playing at a locals, because I'm not paying so much for these Benthams. I'm not paying so much for this Luffy. Well, this Luffy's actually relatively cheap. I'm not paying so much for these Sanjis. I don't care about this deck personally. It's just so much power creep. It's not my style. I'd rather just play Belo Betty for 20 bucks and destroy this deck every single time. And with that being said, I think that's all the decks for today. I hope you enjoyed as we're breaking down OP11, giving you 13 decks to really go over in deep detail. And if there's anything you missed or you want to see a full deck profile with some games on the sim, any of those deck profiles in general or a different deck profile or leader in general, you can just comment that down below. Now we will be live streaming this Friday playing some of the OP12 leaders, because with the rise of Blue Purple Luffy, I'm really already out the door almost. I'm ready for OP12, so I will be playing a lot of Green Zoro, Black Yellow Koala, and maybe some Silver's Rayleigh or whatever else comes out in OP12 at this point. I don't really care. We're going to just have fun. Live stream 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll see you there. Like, subscribe, join the One Piece family, join the Discord, and I'll see you in the next video. 11 decks, OP11, baby. And yes, I know this was like 13 or 14. I know.